Supportables, I'm back from Beijing, actually can make these things again. Brought a little cold with me, as you might be able to tell, but that's because we had another tournament this weekend because, the party just doesn't stop. Why not go all the way until the holidays? Had a pretty intense one in week 13, and obviously we can't help ourselves but look ahead to our regular season finish coming up in week 14. So a few words on the NFL. Let's look at how and remind ourselves how week 13 went. Then we get to look forward. Craziest thing about last week wasn't just that I wasn't able to record while I was in China. It's that I recorded this part in my classroom before I left thinking, well, worst case scenario, I'll get on Yahoo. I heard it was not on the banned list yet. And then it was, and I really struggled just to start my lineup. So there was what it was. Anyway, we're back. Week 13 was super entertaining, but not always for the reasons I thought it was going to be. We do seem to have now our kind of powerhouses, and again, I didn't pick these ones out of the lineup, but it did make me think a little bit. If the Patriots and the Bears are our 1 seeds, is there a chance that the schedules just have gone a bit too far? I mean, it seems like every week, not that I'm cheering for the Bills and the Chiefs or the Eagles, but they're playing like the Monstars from Space Jam, and I feel like the Patriots just get the Titans every third week. I know that's not 100% true, and it's just a soft spot in especially the Bears schedule, but I don't know. Do we really, really want always the mediocre teams to climb up? The answer is maybe, or maybe they're not mediocre. And the wonderful thing about the schedule is we get to find out starting today. The Packers have owned, well, Rodgers will say it's him, have owned the Bears. I think it's like 16 out of the last 17 they've taken from them. But to be honest with you, at this point in the year, for the last couple years, the Bears have already been in tank mode, so I don't really know if that's an accurate stat. Now we have a team that's coached really well, runs the ball, and just apparently never turns it over against the Packers, who need the win way more than the Bears do. And I think they play them twice still. That's another one that's been kind of sticky. A lot of the divisional matchups really weighted, so you've got some that are super interesting, like the South, and I mean, the Colts look great, and I said this last week that I thought they were going to struggle with Houston, and now they have the Jags, so yeah, they came out to that hot start, but if they don't keep going, it could be kind of rocky. And the Jags I don't take seriously, but they seem to just get turnovers when they need them. And Daniel Jones only has one healthy leg. He has a broken leg, and they're just acting like it's okay. Like, he'll be fine. Will he, or is this like an ESPN 30 for 30 that's going to be made in 6 years about how we actually just saw someone's leg fall off in the middle of the game? The North is kind of the same situation. They're all playing each other. And AFC, I should say. NFC is doing fine. None of them are any good, and one of them have to make the playoffs. I mean, Pittsburgh, I can't believe it, but Rodgers is going to do the impossible, not just look like the homeless caddy from Happy Gilmore 1. I hate that I had to say Happy Gilmore. Can we pretend Happy Gilmore 2 just didn't happen? Good, move on. But actually, he might get Mike Tomlin fired, not just because Steeler Nation is posting really, really funny predictions about what's about to happen than it does, but he's kind of turned their offense into and their defense was always kind of except for their pass rusher. But like I said, Baltimore, super thankful that everyone was too fat, lazy, and drunk to actually watch their game last week, because if so, I think we'd be panicking. And speaking of health, I just don't think Lamar is. I mean, if he is, then he definitely was not worth the draft pick that people took him for. Well, I guess we'll see a little bit more as these things start to kind of even out, and we're going to get some pretty pivotal matchups. We get to see who's what and if the tush can be repushed. But regardless, I think football is important to us. But let's be honest, the fact that this is going into week 14, we might care about fantasy just a little bit more, just a little bit more. So let's get on to results, and so we can start looking ahead to what these playoffs are going to start to look like. Just spoiler alert, this is a tough week. Not a lot of teams scored at their predicteds. Everyone was quite low. And we're going to see actually a lot of teams that left their best on their bench. This matchup was not that. This was our 1 and 2. Malakoffs have some reason to be upset. They would have beat anybody else, but they sure did not beat Ball too well. 196 is pretty much our high score of the year. They had a whole bunch of people ringing the bell here. A.J. Brown, after I made fun of him so much, he was the wide receiver 1. Rice was the wide receiver 3. McBride was the tight end 2. Even their defense, my goodness, Seattle. I mean, essentially, these two are the highest 2 scoring right there, bam and bam, 32 and 31.2. Obviously, that's the defense one. Love was the QB one. Not a whole lot you're really going to do when everyone's kind of ringing the bell. Even Devin Neal's slight underperformance was not enough to really do much. Even on the bench, they had some offense. The defense 5 was just left there, so just one of those weeks, unfortunately. So I wouldn't feel too bad the fact you had a negative defense. You actually didn't have anybody who cracked the top five. And just scrolling through, though, that does not mean you obviously did not score a lot of points. You definitely did. You just need a little bit more. But honestly, I don't think anyone's going to take down ball too well this week. As I said, not a lot of teams hit it. So actually, our next highest on the register is our number one seed. But a solid 20 points under where they should be. Mahomes pretty much did it himself. He was the QB1 on the week. Did have a few more kicking around, though. It wasn't just a one-man fight here. Dak's obviously putting up a good fight, but I think we really looking at it, we got to look at the bench. Mariota, oddly enough, was the QB5 on the week, and Vidal was the running back 2. So this could have been a little bit more respectable, but I think on the other end, sorry, Narcan, you just didn't have anybody going off. I mentioned Lamar. I think he's got to be hurt or something this year. Nobody really stepped up for you. Even your guys who've been consistent all year in like the Staffords, the Ted McMillans, the Warrens, just nada. Now, your kicker was the kicker 3, so hey, got that going for you. Going to need a lot more than that and a lot more luck going forward. In fact, if we look at the standings, we'll see where you're at. On the flip side of the coin, we got our number one seed already. Nothing much anyone's going to do about that. Well, talking about your kicks and the nards, unfortunately for me, I just needed the Monday Nighter to go a little bit more in my direction. Travion, just a couple more passes or maybe get into that end zone. Didn't quite happen. I didn't actually think I'd have a shot at that kick ass was going to take off on this one. But when JSN was kind of underperforming, I thought, maybe. You did have Swift. I mean, Chicago's running the ball, no two ways about that. He was the running back 3. Other than that, you did underperform, as I mentioned. You did have some points you could have capitalized on. Hey, me too. I did also have the kicker 2, but actually the kicker 1. No one started Cincinnati's kicker. And then just kind of okay performances. I mean, Harvey, I was pretty happy with that. He was the RB6, but I definitely did not need a week where I just lost by that little. I didn't want to get blown out or take the win at this point. For you, Tim Kickass, I'm pretty sure we'll take a look at the standings, but this might been enough to give you that space you were looking for to hopefully get one of the top 2 seeds and a bye in the next round. Another matchup that both needed and both underperformed. I think the other thing that this matchup had in common, aside from Anchen, who was the the running back 4, the other points were really on the bench. Brissett didn't crack the top 5, but that's a good score. Jameson Williams was the running back 2, and Brock Bowers was the tight end 1. Both could have made heavy impacts and could have been really used. Injuries kind of got to the Raw Doggers a little bit. They're hoping to bounce back because they were still trying to fight for that bye in the first round, whereas Fourth and Conquer needs to keep scraping away to see if they have a shot to crack the top 6. It's safe to say at this point, Jackie, that the dream is done, but remember, this does not mean you get tub thumped again. Second and third years, you really got to start thinking about your strategy here. But instead, remember, we still play out the round. So we still have the bottom 4 play each other. You do get a chance for redemption. But this week was not that week. Nobody really cracking. Now, you love to see Bucky Irving come by, but really you don't like to see a whole lot else that's going on. Although, like I said before, we'd rather just get blown out and not have to deal with it. So I guess this wasn't a horrible one for you. Pamela, on your side, you left Buffalo, who was the defense 3, but I don't blame you with Denver. I think everyone thought that was going to go the other way. You had the kicker 5, so that's pretty good. And Bijan obviously has been the stud. Running back 1, great performance, got you where you need to go. Hanging on to that 6th seed. Probably going to need another win, but the way this league goes, who knows? Speaking of the way the league goes, like I said, nothing is guaranteed at this point. I don't have the points, so if I don't win and any of these people do, I'm in trouble unless I score a lot of points and lose. I'm kind of in a win you're in. Right now, in terms of points, Pamela looks like you got it unless you get drastically outscored by Malakoff. So for pretty much everybody, except for Jackie, this is a must-win week. I also talked about that coveted 2 seed. Kick-ass, you're in the driver's seat, but you got to win to get it in, and that's a big one. You go straight to the semis. Now, who you play matters a lot. Malakoff's, that's a lucky one on your part. Not only did you get me, but that's kind of a win, and you're likely to get in situation, so you got to love that one. Fourth and Conquer, fortunately, you drew our number 1 seed. That's a rough one, but it looks like this is going to be a tight matchup. Love this battle for 3rd place, not making it easy, and obviously Pamela probably has the other highlighted one that you really want to take down. You are also in that kind of win, and you're pretty much in unless it's a dirty one. So Either way, folks, obviously week 14 is going to be intense. 4 teams already in. Who's going to be the last 2? Supportables, the stage is set. What else can I say? 4 teams in, fighting for 2 last spot. Everyone trying to get out of the basement. All going to come down to matchups and, let's be honest, a little bit of luck and who gets in that end zone in week 14 action. Or if you planned well and you didn't have the bye weeks hurt you. I exclude myself from that conversation. So I'd love to tell you good luck to everybody. I don't mean it for one team in particular, but I'm Canadian, so I have to say it anyway. So I will say, hopefully you enjoy your week 14. Good luck, everyone.